What is spoken at the beginning of the day carries unusual weight because the mind is still quiet and the heart is still open. Before distractions compete for attention, words have the power to plant direction. The first voice you listen to should not be fear, stress, or yesterday's unfinished business. It should be faith. When the day begins with intentional language, the atmosphere shifts, and instead of being pulled into reaction mode, you step into authority. Words are not empty sounds. They are containers that carry expectation. When spoken with belief, they shape perception, influence behavior, and invite alignment. Many people wake up already defeated, rehearsing problems before they even leave their bed. But when blessings are spoken early, the mind is trained to look for possibility rather than problems. The day may still bring challenges, but it will meet a prepared spirit instead of an anxious one. Morning declarations work because they establish identity before pressure tries to rename you. The world will attempt to label the day as stressful, busy, or overwhelming, but spoken truth interrupts that narrative. When you declare peace, you give your soul permission to slow down. When you speak clarity, confusion loses its grip. Language becomes a boundary that limits what is allowed to dominate your thoughts. The power of early words is also connected to focus. What you speak becomes what you notice. When blessing is spoken, the eyes begin to recognize favor that would otherwise be ignored. Opportunities that once felt invisible become clear, not because circumstances suddenly changed, but because awareness shifted. Speech acts like a lens, helping the mind filter what deserves attention and what should be dismissed. There is also strength in consistency. Speaking life in the morning is not a one-time act, but a discipline. Over time, the mind becomes conditioned to expect good rather than brace for disappointment. Fear loses its authority because it is no longer the first voice heard. Faith takes that place, setting rhythm and direction for the hours ahead. Morning words also serve as anchors. When unexpected pressure rises during the day, the soul remembers what was spoken earlier. Those declarations become a place to return to when emotions try to spiral. Instead of being swept away by stress, the heart recalls the tone that was set at the start. Stability is not found in perfect conditions, but in rooted truth. Even silence responds to spoken intention. When words are released, they shape inner dialogue. The thoughts that follow often mirror what was first declared. Speaking blessing trains the inner voice to speak kindly instead of critically. This inner alignment affects confidence, patience, and decision-making throughout the day. The timing matters because mornings represent beginnings. Beginnings carry potential. When potential is left unattended, it can drift toward uncertainty. But when spoken over, it becomes directed. Declaring life early is like placing a compass on the day, pointing it toward peace, productivity, and purpose. Words spoken in faith do not deny reality, they define response. They do not ignore problems, they position the heart to face them without panic. By choosing intentional language at the start of the day, control is taken back from fear, anxiety, and distraction. The day may still unfold with surprises, but it will unfold under a spoken blessing rather than unspoken doubt. This practice reshapes not only the day, but the person walking through it. Over time, mornings filled with life produce days marked by clarity, resilience, and quiet confidence. The power is not in perfect words, but in intentional ones spoken early, believed deeply, and carried forward into every moment that follows. Many people wake up carrying weight that does not belong to the new day. Yesterday's disappointments, conversations, mistakes, and delays often try to cross over into the morning, demanding attention as if nothing has changed. But a new day does not ask you to relive what has already passed. It offers you a clean moment, an invitation to release what no longer has authority. Letting go of yesterday is not denial, it is discernment. You cannot move forward while gripping what was meant to end. The mind often replays unresolved moments, especially in quiet morning hours. Regret, frustration, and self-criticism can feel louder when the world is still. Yet those thoughts are not indicators of truth. They are echoes of a season that is closing. What happened yesterday may have shaped experience, but it does not have permission to shape identity. The past may inform wisdom, but it does not define worth. Breaking free begins with recognition. You must see that yesterday's burden is not today's assignment. Some things feel heavy simply because they were never meant to be carried beyond their season. The moment you name that weight, you gain authority over it. Release is an act of faith that says, I trust that what is ahead is greater than what is behind. There is power in closing chapters intentionally. Unfinished emotional business drains energy and clouds focus. When yesterday remains open, today struggles to fully begin. Choosing to release does not mean forgetting lessons. It means refusing to relive pain. Wisdom stays, but heaviness leaves. Peace comes when the heart decides that the past no longer gets to speak first. Every new morning carries mercy designed specifically for that day. Mercy is not generic, it is tailored. It meets the needs of the moment, not the mistakes of yesterday. But mercy must be received. Holding on to guilt blocks what grace is trying to deliver. Forgiveness, especially toward oneself, becomes the doorway through which renewal enters. There is also a spiritual shift that happens when yesterday is released. Fear loses its foundation. Anxiety often draws strength from memory, reminding the mind of what went wrong before. But when the past is laid down, fear has nothing to stand on. Confidence grows not because outcomes are guaranteed, but because trust is restored. Letting go also realigns expectation. When past disappointment dominates, the heart anticipates repetition, but release opens space for hope. The mind becomes willing to believe that this day can unfold differently. Expectation is not optimism without reason. It is faith rooted in renewal. When yesterday's weight is gone, anticipation rises naturally. This freedom affects decision making. A person bound by the past hesitates, second guesses, and overanalyzes. A person released moves with clarity. Not recklessly, but confidently. They are no longer reacting from wounds, but responding from wisdom. Healing creates forward momentum. Breaking free from yesterday is not an emotional shortcut. It is a daily practice. Some days require intentional reminders that what has ended is truly over. Each release strengthens the next. Over time, the grip of the past weakens, and the present gains authority. The new day is not asking you to prove anything. It is not demanding repayment for old failures. It is offering opportunity without accusation. When yesterday's burdens are set down, the heart stands upright again, able to breathe, able to hope, able to move forward unrestrained. Many people move through life responding to whatever shows up in front of them. A problem appears and fear responds. A delay happens and frustration answers. A negative report comes and anxiety takes control. This reactive pattern gives circumstances the authority to dictate emotional and spiritual posture. But there is another way to live, one that speaks before it reacts, declares before it defends, and establishes truth before pressure tries to rewrite the story. Declaring blessings is an act of intentional faith. It does not wait for evidence or permission from circumstances. It speaks from belief rather than emotion. When blessing is spoken first, fear is no longer the loudest voice in the room. Fear feeds on silence and uncertainty, but it weakens when confronted by confident declaration. Words filled with faith interrupt panic and restore order to the inner world. Reaction is often rooted in survival. It comes from past wounds and learned patterns, training the mind to expect trouble, but declaration comes from authority. It shifts the posture from defense to leadership. Instead of asking, what is going to happen today? Declaration states, this is how I will walk through today. The difference is subtle but powerful. One submits to the day, the other shapes it. Speaking blessings also reframes challenges. When problems arise, they are no longer seen as threats, but as moments requiring wisdom and endurance. Declaration does not remove difficulty, but it changes interpretation. The heart no longer assumes defeat at the first sign of resistance. Instead, it remains grounded, believing that strength and guidance will meet each challenge as it appears. There is also a physiological shift when blessings are spoken. The body responds to language. Anxiety tightens muscles and accelerates breathing, while calm, confident speech slows the system and restores balance. Speaking peace out loud signals safety to the nervous system, helping the body align with the belief being declared. Faith is not only spiritual, it is experienced physically. Proactive declaration trains the mind to stay present. Fear often lives in imagined futures, creating scenarios that have not happened. When blessings are spoken, the mind is anchored in intention rather than imagination. Focus returns to what can be controlled: attitude, response, and trust. This mental discipline creates clarity and steadiness throughout the day. Declaring blessings also protects emotional boundaries. Not every comment, delay, or disruption deserves an emotional response. When the heart has already been set, outside voices lose influence. Criticism does not penetrate as deeply, and unexpected changes do not derail focus. The inner environment remains stable even when the outer environment is unpredictable. There is power in repetition. Each time blessings are spoken instead of fear, a new habit forms. Over time, the instinct to react weakens and the instinct to declare strengthens. Faith becomes reflexive. The heart learns to reach for truth automatically, even under pressure. This practice also affects how others experience you. A person who declares rather than reacts carries a different presence. They bring calm into tense spaces and confidence into uncertain situations. Their words uplift rather than escalate. Leadership emerges naturally, not from position, but from posture. Choosing declaration over reaction is not pretending problems do not exist. It is choosing which voice gets priority. Fear may speak, but it does not get the final word. Blessings spoken in advance establish direction, protect peace, and keep the heart anchored. When faith speaks first, the day responds differently, not because everything changes, but because the one walking through it has changed. There is a quiet confidence that comes from believing that the day has already been prepared. Instead of waking up feeling behind or unqualified, the heart rests in the understanding that alignment is already in motion. This perspective removes the pressure to force outcomes or chase validation. When favor is understood as something assigned rather than earned, striving gives way to trust and movement becomes smoother. Walking in alignment means recognizing that not every door requires effort. Some opportunities open simply because the timing is right. Favor does not announce itself loudly. It often shows up as ease in moments that once required struggle. A conversation flows naturally. A decision becomes clear without anxiety. What once felt heavy begins to feel guided. This is not coincidence. It is alignment at work. Favor also protects from missteps. It closes doors that would lead to distraction or delay, even when they appear attractive at first. Rejection in this light is not punishment, but redirection. What does not open is often as important as what does. Alignment ensures that energy is invested where growth is possible, not wasted where progress would be limited. There is freedom in knowing that what is meant for you will recognize you. You do not have to announce your worth or compete for attention. When alignment is present, opportunities connect naturally. The right people notice. The right moments appear. What belongs to you gravitates toward you without manipulation. This removes the exhaustion that comes from constant proving. Favor also brings confidence in unfamiliar spaces. When entering new environments, there is a sense of belonging that does not depend on familiarity. Courage rises because the heart trusts that presence alone is enough. Words come with clarity. Actions carry assurance. This confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet certainty rooted in alignment. Walking in favor does not mean the absence of challenge. Resistance still exists, but it does not dominate. Difficult moments become temporary rather than defining. Favor acts as a stabilizer, preventing setbacks from turning into discouragement. The heart remains steady because it understands that progress is not erased by obstacles. Alignment sharpens discernment. Choices become easier because the heart recognizes what resonates and what disrupts peace. There is less second guessing and fewer regrets. Decisions are made from clarity rather than pressure. This discernment preserves energy and builds momentum. Favor also affects timing. Rushing decreases, patience increases. The need to hurry fades because trust has replaced anxiety. When timing is right, effort feels lighter. Actions align with opportunity, creating flow rather than friction. Waiting becomes purposeful instead of frustrating. There is also an internal shift that happens when favor is believed. Gratitude increases and comparison fades. The journey is no longer measured against others, but understood as personal and intentional. Joy becomes more accessible because contentment grows. Walking in alignment reshapes how success is defined. Success becomes faithfulness rather than applause, progress rather than perfection. Each step is valued, even the small ones. Momentum builds steadily instead of explosively, creating sustainability. When favor is embraced, the day is no longer faced with apprehension, but with expectancy. The heart moves forward knowing it is supported, guided, and positioned. What unfolds may not always match plans, but it will align with purpose. That assurance creates peace, focus, and resilience that carry through every moment of the day. Peace, wisdom, and discernment are essential anchors for navigating any day, especially when uncertainty looms or pressure mounts. Without them, the mind becomes reactive. Emotions fluctuate uncontrollably, and decisions are often rushed or misguided. But when a heart is rooted in peace and guided by wisdom, even the most challenging moments can be approached with clarity and confidence. These qualities are not merely ideals, they are practical tools for living intentionally and purposefully. Peace begins with a mindset, a conscious choice to refuse internal chaos despite external circumstances. The world often presents a barrage of distractions, setbacks, and demands, each vying for attention. Without intentional focus, fear and stress can dominate. Peace, however, acts as a stabilizer. It is not passive, it is active presence. It allows a person to observe circumstances without becoming entangled in them, to respond rather than react, and to move forward without being paralyzed by worry or doubt. When peace anchors the soul, emotional responses are measured and deliberate, creating space for wisdom to operate effectively. Wisdom complements peace by providing perspective. It helps differentiate between what requires immediate action and what can be patiently awaited. It discerns the true nature of situations, understanding underlying motives, hidden risks, and potential opportunities. Wisdom allows the heart to navigate complexity without being deceived by appearances. It equips the mind to recognize patterns, anticipate consequences, and make choices that are aligned with long-term purpose rather than short-term relief. A wise approach tempers impulsivity, ensuring that energy is invested in actions that yield meaningful results. Discernment acts as a filter through which decisions and interactions are evaluated. It is the capacity to sense what is genuine versus what is false, what is beneficial versus what is detrimental. Discernment protects the heart from unnecessary burdens and guides the individual toward alignment with truth and integrity. It allows one to identify when to move forward and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent. Discernment is cultivated through attentive listening, reflection, and a willingness to act only after careful consideration. It is not reactionary, it is intentional. When peace, wisdom, and discernment work together, they create a powerful synergy. Peace stabilizes the heart and mind, wisdom directs action, and discernment evaluates choices. This combination ensures that responses are thoughtful, deliberate, and aligned with purpose. Challenges are met with a calm determination. Opportunities are pursued with clarity, and mistakes are minimized because decisions are informed by insight rather than emotion. The ability to maintain this balance transforms ordinary days into productive, meaningful experiences. These qualities also influence relationships. When the heart is at peace and guided by wisdom, interactions with others become constructive rather than reactive. Misunderstandings are handled calmly, conflicts are resolved thoughtfully, and influence is exercised responsibly. People are more receptive to communication that is rooted in clarity and balance, and trust is cultivated naturally because consistency and integrity are evident in every interaction. Furthermore, peace, wisdom, and discernment foster resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable, but a person anchored in these qualities can weather storms without being overwhelmed. Setbacks are approached as temporary, lessons are gleaned from each experience, and confidence is maintained because the foundation is internal, not dependent on external validation. By intentionally cultivating peace, wisdom, and discernment, the day becomes navigable, purposeful, and fruitful. Decisions are clearer, emotions are steadier, and actions are more aligned with long-term goals. Challenges no longer dominate. They are met with clarity, confidence, and composure. This triad creates a framework for living with intention, ensuring that every step taken is deliberate, every interaction meaningful, and every moment experienced fully. Expectation and confidence are powerful forces that shape the way a person experiences the day. When the heart is aligned with faith, mornings are no longer approached with hesitation or doubt, but with a readiness to receive what is already prepared. Expectation is not merely hope, it is a declaration that the day contains purpose, favor, and opportunity. It positions the mind to recognize blessings even in ordinary circumstances and opens the heart to possibilities that might otherwise be overlooked. Living with expectation requires a conscious decision to focus on what can be gained rather than what might go wrong. Many people drift through their days passively, allowing circumstances to dictate mood and outcome. But when expectation is embraced, it acts like a magnet, drawing attention to moments of potential, guiding decisions, and sharpening perception. The mind begins to scan for opportunities instead of obstacles, and the heart anticipates favor rather than disappointment. This shift in focus transforms ordinary experiences into extraordinary encounters. Confidence is the natural companion of expectation. It is rooted not in self-reliance, but in trust that the day has been arranged in your favor. Confidence allows you to move boldly, speak decisively, and act without hesitation. It provides a steadying force when challenges arise, ensuring that setbacks do not derail progress. With confidence, decisions are made with clarity rather than uncertainty, and actions are carried out with assurance instead of fear. The combination of expectation and confidence creates momentum that propels the day forward, making even difficult moments manageable. Expectancy also affects perception. When the heart anticipates good, even small signs of progress or provision are magnified. Opportunities that might have been dismissed as coincidence are recognized as steps in a larger plan. Favor becomes more visible and gratitude naturally increases. This heightened awareness strengthens faith, reinforces patience, and encourages perseverance, even when results are not immediately visible. The ability to see potential where others see obstacles is a hallmark of a life lived with expectation. Confidence reinforces resilience. When setbacks occur, a confident heart does not collapse under pressure. Instead, it evaluates, adjusts, and continues moving forward. Failures are reframed as lessons, delays become preparation, and challenges are met with determination rather than despair. The confidence that comes from faith creates stability in the midst of uncertainty, allowing a person to maintain focus on purpose rather than distraction. Living with expectation also influences behavior and relationships. A person who expects favor and walks with confidence radiates positivity and assurance, inspiring those around them. Decisions are made with integrity, interactions carry weight, and influence is natural because it comes from a grounded place of certainty. Others respond to this presence with trust and respect, and opportunities often multiply because of the perception of readiness and capability. Expectation and confidence are cultivated through consistent practice. They are strengthened each morning when blessings are spoken over the day, when faith is declared in the face of uncertainty, and when the heart chooses to believe in alignment rather than doubt. Over time, this discipline reshapes perspective, making it easier to approach each day with hope, courage, and clarity. When expectation and confidence guide the morning, the day unfolds differently. The heart is open to possibility, the mind is attuned to opportunity, and the spirit moves with purpose. Challenges no longer intimidate, and blessings are recognized and received fully. Living with this intentional outlook transforms not only the day itself, but also the person walking through it, creating a life marked by trust, momentum, and a steadfast awareness of favor.